good afternoon. This is your host, April G. Datahan, or Teacher April. And this is a webinar on educational trends, practices, researchers, and ethics on remote teaching and learning. This is a course assignment on ED200 from the University of Mindanao Professional as well with our professor. Okay, so we'd like to introduce you to our professor for this course, Dr. Jennifer Israel. And I would like to thank her as well for giving us this opportunity to share what we have learned and what we have as our insights for this webinar. So by doing this, I would like also to participate in the sharing of insights and something that I can contribute as well on the topic on remote teaching and learning. Okay, so I am your host and your speaker for this afternoon. I am Teacher April G. Datahan, and I have been teaching for almost 5 years already in the making and still continuing. I have experiences in both online and offline classes, face-to-face, classroom interaction, and private school, public school, and also as an online ESL teacher. I have attended several trainings and seminars and also received some certificates from TESOL for me to teach online. I have the certificate of TESOL and TEYL of Teach International Australia. And all of these things are just part of my experiences. So I would just like to give an insight as well to all of the things that I have learned. And I would like to impart to you how these things affected our situation right now and how is this applicable. COVID-19 has several reasons why we are here. So our objective for this webinar is to determine the educational trends, practices, and ethics on remote teaching and learning. And we are going to design a solution to address the needs of every teachers and learners in the curriculum. We're also going to share and reflect the roles of teacher, students, parents, school, and community in remote teaching and learning. So let's go and let's start this webinar. So we are going to have 4 parts of our webinar. The first part is the challenges and solutions of remote teaching and learning. The second is the learning delivery modalities. The third is the role of the teachers, parents, schools, and community in remote teaching and learning. And of course, a guide for parents in times of this pandemic. Okay, so our country is still facing this situation. The COVID-19 pandemic is still existing. So we are going to tackle and talk about all of these 4 things for today. Okay, I hope this would be of help to all of our parents. So this webinar is intended for all, and I hope that this is helpful as well and informative. Okay, so to start with, let's try to watch this video. This is a video by DepEd Philippines, and I just got this video from their YouTube channel, and I would just like to share this to you as one nation and one country here in the Philippines. Let's try to look at the video.
De Luna,
Present!
Herrera,
Present!
Valera,
Present!
Handa ba tayo sa school year 2020?
Present!
Ngayong taon, ang edukasyon tuloy pa rin. Sa tulong ng DepEd, mga guro at mga magulang, ang handang isip, handa bukas. Tuloy-tuloy ang pag-aaral. May mga lessons para sa iba't ibang antas. Sa government TV, maging sa radyo. Mahalagang ligtas ang ating mga estudyante at guro, kaya kahit nasa bahay, tuloy ang edukasyon. Kung tulong-tulong, may paraan, may aralan. Handang isip, handa bukas. Bisitahin ang DepEd Philippines sa Facebook at ang deped.gov.ph.
All right, thank you so much for that one. And that is a video from the Department of Education with their theme about sulong edukalidad. Okay, so this video is something that we should also take note. And let's try to ask the question, of course, because we are asking about how do we promote learning? How do we promote teaching in this situation right now where we cannot do face-to-face interaction? We cannot do any kind of verbal instruction in face-to-face manner. How are we supposed to teach the learners as a teacher? How, as a learner, would be able to learn from this kind of situation? So is education still possible? Those are the questions that most of the students are being concerned of, as well as the teachers, the parents, and the whole community, the school as well. So let's try to discuss first, what is a remote teaching and learning? Okay, so remote teaching and learning refers to distance teaching and learning, or sometimes this is commonly used as emergency remote teaching and learning. This had been pre-existed already since 2018. It was a developed project by the Department of Education, and it was just pursued, and it was just redefined. I mean, so this had been the core factor of educational technology unit of the Department of Education. But in other countries, the remote teaching and learning is already present, especially in China, because in China they have an online ESL platform where teachers are having a chance to teach English online. And sometimes they do have also some tutorial sessions from online teachers from different subjects. So I guess this is already present until that time. I mean, 2010 was the most common year for the remote teaching and learning. So remote learning is something a district should be able to switch off and based on need. Okay, so this is something that is more on the preparation of the technological tools that we're going to use for our students' support. And of course, we need to have all of these things in transition to our virtual school or virtual learning programs. And when we say virtual learning or virtual school programs, these are the typical processes that a school is adapting to a such curriculum where we go over online distance learning or online classes or the use of technology in computer lessons. So this is more on virtual lessons and virtual learning. So remote learning provides an opportunity for students and teachers to remain connected and engaged with the content while working from their homes. And opportunities for remote learning are typically linked to emergency situations that pose a threat to students' safety. So those are our main concerns. Okay, so sometimes it can be linked to emergency situations like now. So this is applicable. Okay. Now, let's go to our first topic for this afternoon, and let's go to the challenges and solutions of remote teaching and learning. So what are the challenges in remote teaching and learning? The first is the distractions. Of course, there are always there. The scheduling problems. We're online training content, technical issues, and learners being left behind. Okay, so let's try to discuss the 5 things or the challenges that most learners and teachers or parents are also encountering right now. Okay, So the first is the distraction. All right, so distraction is really everywhere. Every time you have conducting an online class, there's the sound of the chicken, there's the sound of the barking dog. Anywhere there's always a noise pollution around, and sometimes distractions is not only incorporated to sound but also to focus. Something that students are watching TV, sometimes they are using their phones. Okay, so these are common. Okay, these are the common things, or something that they are doing something else while you're conducting an online class. So, or even not an online class, but even in a different modality. Okay, I'll be discussing to you the different modalities later. So, how to avoid these distractions? So, make it clear that in all pre training communication that you have, all right, there is a formal training session and requires undivided attention. Okay, so if possible, remote learners should have dedicated quiet workspace, but I think that is only applicable to a few. So you just have to emphasize rules and discipline inside your classroom. All right, so you have to take care also of students who are having difficulties and with their scheduling. Okay, another thing is the scheduling problem. The scheduling problem is something that needs to have time management. This is the way for us to overcome this is time management. So we will just enable all learners to access remote learning on a day, and there's a basis. It could be 3 times in a week, okay, but it's easier said than done, right? So fighting with multiple spreadsheets, emails, when you try to pass an assignment as a learner or as a teacher, when you require students to pass their assignments on time and they don't pass it on time. So in this trying time, we don't need to be strict in terms of schedule, but we just need to be flexible enough to incorporate the needs of the time that they have to attend to. What I mean is the flexibility requires responsibility on both learners and teachers. It is not only for the teacher and it's not only for the student. It's both ways. So if the student is in favored with this particular time for them to pass their assignment, and the communication should be there. So the teacher should be able to address this need for some concerns or reasons that they cannot pass it on time. Well, you have to adjust through it, but you have to assure and you have to also make sure that you make also your target, because you have also your own deadline. So just make sure that you will just meet in between. So you talk about it between the two of you. Where will you meet in between? So that's the best thing that you can do. Another thing is you have the LMS, or the learning management system, and in the LMS we have the calendar function where we can also schedule our training activities and training attendance and so many more. Okay, so next is the poor online. Okay, this is one of the problems of most teachers. Okay, so most likely, not all teachers are really digital experts or digital natives. Most likely, some teachers do not know even how to use a laptop or use a phone, a smartphone. So we'll just have to adjust as well in this specific time frame. You should not make things for them difficult too. So if teachers in your school are having difficult time in understanding the basic things in using these offices, Microsoft offices, or if not some technologies that you are giving them, you should be able to train the teachers, because this is the same way of teaching them as well how to use it. You can never teach someone, there's always in the Bible, right, that A blind man can never lead another blind. Okay, so that means we need to equip our teachers, and schools should be able to address that need because this is something that they are good at and they should be able to do it for their teachers. Okay, so how to create engaging remote courses? Of course, you have to teach them how to make quizzes, assignments, dialogue simulations, ready-made course templates, and you have to help also these teachers how to do it on their own. Next is technical issues. Okay, this is one of the things that in online distance learning is one of the major problem, and I think this is true to all. So in a virtual classroom, there are always some technical issues like you cannot hear me or you cannot see me, or if not, my video is freezing or it's pixelated. What else? So there are different kinds of technical issues that teachers and students are addressing. But one thing is for sure in how to prepare and avoid these technical issues is that you always need to have a backup. Okay, so as much as possible, you log in early in your LMS. If you have an LMS in your school, you have to log in early so that there would be no internet traffic, because there is an internet traffic if there are a lot of people already, a number of people logging into that same website. So there would be a tendency that most of those people who are logging in cannot log in anymore due to internet traffic. So best way is to log in early as much as possible, an hour before the time that you're supposed to enter. Okay, so for technical issues, in case that there would be power interruptions, always have a backup, like a power bank would be helpful, or if not, power cord, attach it to your laptop if you have. But if it's not possible, then we'll just make use of our batteries. Then that would help. Okay, number 5 is learners being left behind. Okay, this is something that is in reality that not all learners are applicable for online distance learning or online learning. So in a virtual classroom, yes, it's possible for some who have laptops and gadgets, but for some who don't have, I think this is difficult. Okay. All right, so this one is we have to set yourself up for victory by providing detailed information on how to access the training and ask questions on how any relevant software programs work. But if in case, in real life scenarios in public schools, there are schools who cannot provide this kind of technologies or gadgets. Even students don't have one, even a cell phone. And if ever they have a cell phone, they just have a keypad cell phone. What I mean is the 3210 kind of cell phone, Nokia. So in short, we need to address this need and we have to adjust for them, because we need to understand that learning must go on, yes, and it should be for all. But if this is the case, then we have to look at further ways on how to address and to let them learn still. And sometimes some learners are left behind because they lack motivation to do it and there is no supporting learning environment for them. So parents at home should create a supportive learning environment as well as teachers, so that the learners are motivated to learn despite the situation we are facing right now. So a positive attitude would help. Okay, so that's it, and let's go to topic 2. So for topic 2, this time, we are going to learn about the learning delivery modalities. So in the learning delivery modalities, we have 4 kinds. First is face-to-face. Second is homeschool or study or apprenticeship, as what they say. Okay, and distance learning and blended learning. Okay. So what are these 4 learning modalities? And we're going to talk about them later, okay? So let's go first to our modalities or approach or strategies proposed. Okay, these are all strategies proposed by the Department of Education. And let's try to check out if it's possible for us to use these approaches or modalities or the teaching strategies. Okay, so if it's applicable in your school, then you may apply these strategies or approach. Okay, so let's start first with the modified shifting of classes or the MSC. When the COVID-19 struck our country, that was March 17, 2020, and we canceled all classes. And that was the ongoing time that we had cancellation of classes until such time that we decided that we will start our classes on October 5, and other private schools already started on August. So what happened was that in the modified shifting of classes, it's the shifting of classes teaching is directly focused on concepts with corresponding activities, and supplemental activities and assessments shall be brought by learners when shifted at home. So the shifting depends on how many days the competencies could be covered based on the competency codes and the number of competencies to be covered in all learning areas. Okay? The shifting of classes with dyadic teaching or the SCDT. So in this scheme, there would be 2 teachers inside the class per learning area. The number of learners they would handle should be the total number of learners they handled in the normal days. So during the dyadic teaching, learners have to go through the series of individual activities after teaching the learning competencies to be facilitated and monitored by 2 teachers. 2 teachers only, okay? And we have as well the ESM, or this is applicable in junior high school. So the ESM focused teaching is only on English, science, and mathematics shall be taught in school. So other learning areas shall be using the modular home-based approach. So like TLE, MAPE, other subjects. So that's it. Okay, ESP. All right. We have the RESMT. The RESMT or the RESM focused teaching is for elementary. So for elementary kids, this approach is only for reading, English, science, and mathematics shall be taught in school. Other learning areas shall be using the modular home-based approach. And the last one is the core specialized focus teaching for senior high school. This approach is only core and specialized subjects shall be taught in school, and applied subjects shall be using the home-based life skill modular approach. Okay, so that's it. And I hope that's helpful somehow. Okay, I hope it is. Okay, let's go. All right, now this time, let's try to go to our different learning modalities. Okay, so I hope that this is applicable still for some. This is the learning delivery modalities under the learning continuity plan of the Department of Education, and this is implemented by both private and public schools. So we have the face-to-face learning, but this kind of learning modality is not anymore applicable during these days and this situation that we have. So we all know that we had this one since kinder, elementary, and until, but it's not applicable now for the next generation. Okay, so we have the homeschooling. Homeschooling is applicable for this kind of situation. If and only the tutor or the teacher that you hired is negative from any forms of swab tests and rapid tests. So that would be good. So in homeschooling, the teacher is the one who teaches like a one-on-one session with the students. So it provides learners with equal access to quality basic education at home to be facilitated by qualified parents, guardians, or tutors who have undergone relevant training, and policy is under review. So the features are that families can educate according to their personal faith, philosophy, and values. Learning schedules may adjust to fit family schedules and circumstances. We have also the apprenticeship. This is up for senior high school applicable. So, for senior high school learners, this is an opportunity for actual immersion in workplace situations under the supervision of a certified practitioner. So, this is appropriate for selected TVL specializations that require more on site learning and application skills than academics. But since we are facing, I'll repeat myself, because we are facing this kind of situation right now due to the pandemic, we cannot go immersion or apprenticeship right now. Okay, so let's go to the two most famous things that is applicable for public, private, online, or offline classes. This is the learning delivery modality that is applicable: blended learning and distance learning. In blended learning, the learners allows for a combination of face-to-face, but since our government is not allowing it, there is an online for this, online and modular. Okay, so there are two features of blended learning. We have online and we have modular learning delivery. So in this feature, it limits the face-to-face learning delivery. Okay, so it's not all the time that you will have face-to-face. It affords social distancing, and it decreases the volume of people outside the home at any given time. So in blended learning, this kind of learning allows learners to talk online to their teachers, and as well as they answer into their modules. Okay, that's very important. And we have also the distance learning. So in distance learning, this is something that is most viable for independent learners and learners supported by periodic supervision of parents or guardians. This is very applicable for them, because if parents are teachers as well, so they would be as tutors for their children. So it can be delivered through online platforms still, or educational programs like TV and radio. And then we have also printed modules. So this is distance learning. So do you see the difference between blended learning and distance learning? Yes. Okay. So these two learning modalities, learning delivery modalities, are what we call the remote teaching and learning. So this is the scope of the remote teaching and learning. This is where it came from. Okay. So let's try to go through the two forms of distance. We have in distance learning, modular distance learning, where the Department of Education will release self-learning modules, or SLM, and then it will be delivered to the central office, and then going to school, and then from school to community. That is the modular distance learning. The online distance learning can be a form of using of laptops, gadgets, internet, and other forms. PowerPoint, videos, TV, there's a lot of things. Okay, so let me explain of that. All right, so the flow of modular distance learning is that teachers first will prepare learning materials like modules, activity sheets for modular or distance learning, and then they will give it to the parents. Okay, and then the parents will pick up the modules given by the government or by the school, right? And then they will receive it, okay, through school. It can be through school, but there is also a chance that they can have home delivery, but this is very rare. Maybe this is applicable for very far-flung areas or communities where it's hard to reach the learners and it's really hard for them to travel. So the teachers, with the help of the barangay officials, will deliver the modules for them. Okay, sometimes it can also be another thing. It can be that the modules are picked up by the barangay, and then from there, the teachers will give it to the barangay, and then the barangay community center will distribute the instructional materials to the parents. So that's how modular distance learning is. And then right after that they have received it, they are given 1 week for them to answer all of the modules that are given. And then after a week, they will come back and they will return the modules that were answered. And by that same day, the teachers will also give them another set of week 2 for another set of learning module. So that's how it is. Okay, so for modular distance learning, that's how the flow is. Okay. But how about in online? In online, there are two forms. We have asynchronous and synchronous learning modality. So in asynchronous, this is a combination of discussion boards, quizzes, polls, email, digital documents, recorded audio or video, recorded slides with narration, like what I'm doing, the self-paced courses. Okay, this is asynchronous. The synchronous is different. Okay, synchronous is really virtual, where there's a teacher in a given time, actually teaching the student, but virtual. It could be via Zoom, it could be Google Classroom, Schoology, Stream Labs or StreamYard. It can be in that way. So it requires internet. In asynchronous, it does not require. Somehow, partially it can be, but that depends to you, of course. But you have to download it. So you just need an internet when you have to download a material or a file from that specific website. And then right after that, you make use of your materials for your modules. That's it. Okay? So those are the two kinds of online. And of course, to present as well to you, the very famous one is the LMS, or the Learning Management System. As I've told you, this learning management system is like a website. It's like a web tool where it's like a Facebook, where students will register. They will log in to that website, the LMS. But in DepEd, they call it DepEd Commons. So the DepEd Commons is like an online educational resource. Okay, so all of the teaching materials of the teachers are placed in DepEd Commons, and they can log in there and then download all of the things that they need to. The best thing that is applicable for DepEd Commons is that in DepEd Commons it does not require internet, because if you're a Globe or Smart user, it is free and you can log in and download there. Yes, that's how amazing it is. Okay, so that's it. And let's move to our topic 3 for today. Our topic 3 is about the roles of teachers, parents, schools, and community in remote teaching and learning. So let's go. Now this time, who are involved in remote teaching and learning? First, of course, we have the student, parents, teachers, school, and community. Okay, these are the 5 major things that you have to consider in remote teaching and learning. So let's start first with the student or learner roles. Okay, so in distance education, students have the role to learn, and that is the only thing that they have to. But it is difficult for them because they are used to the traditional learning process, and so we have to adjust with their needs. So what are their roles for now? So they have to be self-responsible on tasks that are given to them. They consult their advisors or their teachers to access the methods and where do they get it. Being individualistic learning, meaning they are responsible of their own learning. And evaluating and judging self-performance, meaning they are the ones who will judge and evaluate if they did what is right but the teachers will also give feedback. All right. So getting rid of prejudice of communicational barriers or mood. So this is something that needs to be addressed because some learners are very moody, and right, they have tantrums. Maybe because of the situation, because they cannot go out and they don't have social interaction from other people, so they get stressed out and they get into tantrums. Sometimes they get mad at someone without even having any reasons at all. So parents should address that need as well. Okay. So the teachers or the educators. So in distance education, the role of the teacher is on planning, instruction, implementation, and assessment. Actually, the teacher has the very crucial role here because they have evolved from the traditional setup to an evolving role. Okay. What I mean is, all right. What I mean is the role of the teacher has evolved from a different manner. Okay. So now the teacher is a partner in learning, a designer of powerful learning, community developer, and a connector and activator. So in short, a teacher now is an expert on digital gadgets. I mean, they are the digital natives or the digital specialists. And this is their role, the main role of the teacher. Um, I guess this is somehow a very rapid change for some educators or teachers who are not really having an applicable system in their school because it's a small community and there's only a few learners and the learners can't even provide for themselves, and it's a very rural area and it's hard for them to have even an internet. So being a digital native is somehow difficult for these situations, so we just have to adjust to their needs as well. That's why the Department of Education as well, and together with other schools, are also giving some ways on how to make this one better. Okay, so that's why we have the modular distance learning. That's why that is the one that is applicable for them somehow. I hope that helps. Okay, so for family and parents, okay, these are the roles of the family and parents at home, especially with your kids. Please make sure that you're following these guidelines and rules. So establish routines and expectations. So you have to make a good habit from the start. You have to create a time frame and a flexible routine at home with your kids. So make sure that you chunk your days and you chunk the times when you are going to work with the modules, when are you remind them when to pass their assignments, when to answer their modules. So that's something that needs to be established. Second is choose a good place to learn. Of course, you have to maintain a good working space for your child or for your children. Okay, so somewhere in the dining area would be possible if it's a table where they are comfortable in answering, that would be better. Okay, another thing is you have to stay in touch to teachers. You have to regularly communicate, but if not regularly, then in a week or twice a week would be possible. You have to contact your teachers and do follow up and ask questions if there are things that are hard for you to answer for the kids, okay? Help students own their learning. Okay, so you never tell them the answer. Don't help too much. Okay, so let them be independent on their own learning. Okay, so this is only a way for you to let them learn. So you have just to give support, encouragement. You can give them snacks after doing a long writing or answering in the module or after the online classes. So give them snacks or give them something to eat, give them encouragement, ask them, We have also to ask them, okay, what happened to their day. So this is something that we have to do every morning and beginning and ending of the day. So by checking in, so how far did you get in your learning test today? What did you discover? What was hard? What could we do to make tomorrow better? Something, those questions. Like, do you have any assessments? How will you spend your time today? What subject or do you have today? What can I do to help? Okay, these are some of the questions that our children would like us to hear, right? So, or would like us to tell them. Okay, so these are words of encouragement. So please do that, parents, and also check yourselves if you're doing the same thing. Okay. Next is for the school. Of course, the school provides the needs of its stakeholders, delivers the best education for all, and train teachers for educational trends and practices. So the community extends help and support to school projects and purposes for the betterment of each individuals and secure the safety of all individuals living in the same community. This is very important, especially in our situation right now. Okay, so safety is a must. So as I've told you earlier, and as you have seen, so this is how the flow is, and the barangay officials are there to support. So the community is there to support the learning modality of the child and the school as well. So the school and the community cannot be separated because they have to work hand in hand together with the teachers, students, and parents. So that's how the distance learning or modular approach happens. Okay, so this is an example of the modular distance learning of the Department of Education Sulong Educalidad program. So we have in here from the central office or the regional office. So there are sets of modules. They are the ones who prepare these modules with the help of so many people in making the curriculum possible. The experts of curriculum design, and then they will be the one to print it, and they will be the one to reproduce it, sending it to the school's division office. And then after that, from the school's division office, that would be sent to the school, and then the school will be the one to send it to the homes or to the parents, okay, or to the barangay officials, or from the barangay to the parents. Okay, so that's how it is done. All right, so now we are up to our topic 4, which is on the guide for parents in times of pandemic. So this is how we are going to assess ourselves, parents, if we are doing the best thing for our children at home and if we are really a parent to them. Okay, so here is a guide. Now, UNESCO made a guide to parents for them to follow in these trying times, and as learners do their remote learnings at home. It is with best intentions that parents must learn in these trying times to be the child's strength and the child's motivator. Okay. So the first thing is cleanliness. Okay, are we imposing cleanliness to our children? So you remember, you have to teach them, of course, to wash their hands properly, to avoid the spreading of viruses. When you sneeze, you have to cover your mouth and nose, right? These are such important things, okay? Second is eating healthy, okay, or the eating habits and health of children. You have to consider as parents of what you are letting them eat. Sometimes the nutrients of foods that you're trying to let them eat is affecting as well their learning process or their their education somehow, because this would give them full of energy or less energy. So make sure that the nutritious foods you're serving are best for them. Okay, and we have as well children's exercise routine. Of course, are you trying to encourage your children to do exercise at home, even just for 15 minutes? This is something that we have to do in this situation right now. You have to make your children busy in times of like this, rather than being stagnant and just lying in bed sleeping whole day. This is a best way for them to have a healthy body. So remember that the habit of exercising paves the path to a healthy body and energetic minds. And that way, they will not become stagnant both in mind and body. Okay, next is number 4. We have for number 4 is sleep. This is very important. Okay, so after an online class or after doing a long day of answering their modules or assessments, then it's time for them to have a good night's sleep. Please let them avoid having, until 12 o'clock using of gadgets through their phones. Please tell them to turn it off and go to sleep or go to bed. Next is medicine, of course. All right, so maybe somehow some vitamin C or to add to add something for their health. But if they have, you have to make sure that if they have some complications, you try to check them out and try to ask them if they're okay, if they are having fever, cough, colds. Please let them drink medicines and don't let it a day to pass without even asking them how are they. Okay, and of course, learning new skill. Okay, so while at home, are you letting your child do together, like the two of you, you're doing something together? Can be drawing or can be painting or can be gardening or something that would enjoy your hobbies, both of you doing it at home. All right, can be like that. Okay, and of course, we have also responsibilities and duties. Okay, so as a parent, you are responsible of taking care of your child, but at the same time, you are responsible in giving them responsibilities and duties at home. Like, did you wash the plates? Did you even wash your clothes? Or did you water the plants? These are just common duties or responsibilities that a normal child can do. So you have to teach them at home how to do it, and you have to guide them, watch over them, how do they do it. And the last one, oh, not yet. There's still 2 more to go, or 3 more to go. So we have entertainment, of course, after a long day of stressful answering of modules and answering in the online classes, doing chores at home. It's time for an entertainment. You can actually read books together if it's applicable, but if it's not, then you can listen to radio together, listen to music together, watch TV together, watch a movie together. Anything that is entertaining for both of you in the family that would help them psychologically. Okay? Next is behavioral problem. This is something that most parents are having problem with, especially for little kids in preschool and elementary. There are sometimes that there are behavioral problems that are happening. Okay, what are these behavioral problems? The behavioral problems that most parents are having a side comment about is when their children don't get what they want. Okay, so please try to instill discipline about them, but never get to the extent that you will hurt them physically and abuse them verbally. Just talk to them and just try to chill them first before you say something that is not correct. Okay, so that's what my parents would always tell me, that you have to think first before you say something, because you can never get back the words that you said, or you can never have it back. So you have to be very careful. Okay, so desired behaviors, okay, once provoked, it is unnecessary. So you just have to listen first. Okay, children can be encouraged when they perform desired activities. It could be a video recorded or then show them afterwards, and then, okay, let's play a game. Let's play, it's okay to play Mobile Legends, for me, in my perspective, because there is no such thing as something bad in the game. It's just that the players probably, but if you will incorporate what he likes and what somehow you don't like, you try to, get along with him so that you'll see what is really the reason why my son really loves to play this game. Let's try. Okay, teach me how. And then that's the time that you bond together. Okay. Next is the emotional problems. Okay. This is something that needs to be addressed most commonly because we already have high rates of suicidal learners in the Philippines, and I cannot give exact number of how many, but there are many cases that we can see in the news and we can hear in the news as well, but not frequently. Okay, so sometimes you can hear it in the news. Very rare to be heard, but it's really happening in real life. Okay, so please address this emotional problem, parents, especially if we have teenagers at home, because sometimes teenagers are the most delicate or fragile individuals in the society. They are emotionally unstable, so we have to, understand and listen to them, whatever their moans or their concerns are, or their, negative feedbacks about things, people, news. So you just have to listen and understand what they are trying to say. Okay, so be always there to listen. Next is the psychological, physiological, and emotional well-being of caregivers. Okay. Of course, you as a parent, you have to be well as well, because you cannot comfort your children if you're not okay. But sometimes you have to check yourselves as well. If you're doing fine and you can overcome such difficulties in life in your family, don't think too much about stressful things, rather for the benefit of yourself as well and for your child. So you have to overcome these things, because if you think about your children and you think about yourself as well, you have to embrace also your well-being as a parent, as a mother or father to your children. So just try to enjoy life and try to sing along with your you know children. You can sing songs, karaoke, or any other way, so that you will just have a time to bond with each other, and you will be rejuvenated as well, because you've spent your whole time watching over your children. So you have to give time for yourself as well. Okay, so that's it, and together we can overcome this. All right, and that is the end of our webinar for this afternoon. I hope that it helped somehow, and if you have some further clarifications and some suggestions, please do take note to comment down below. And if you have some additional sources that you want me to have for your next webinar, then please feel free to comment down below. Okay, all right, so this is the end of our webinar session for this afternoon. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye.